What's up, everybody? We are back for another edition of a Guy Thing podcast live experience. Again, I just love doing this stuff. It's so much fun to me, and I'm so excited, as always, to do the podcast because I love to talk, I love to bullshit, I love to have a good time, and I love to learn something new all the time. So why not do it on the podcast? So kill two birds with one stone. You get to enjoy the show. I get to do it and talk about stuff that I like. But I think this is a cool one. This is going to be a great episode. Before we get into that, I got to give a shout out to my sponsors. These are the peeps that make it happen so I could continue to do this fantastic, at least in my opinion, fantastic show. But the live experience continues. So I just want to let you guys know, actually, before I get into my sponsors, please do me a favor. Follow me at A Guy Thing Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all over the place. Do me a favor. It really helps me grow the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. And also A Guy Thing Podcast, also our website, guythingpodcast.com. You could check out the analytics. You could check out the previous guests that have been on the show, sponsors, blogs. If you want to reach out and talk about something, and you could actually send a message there and say, hey, Joe, do me a favor. Get this person on. I want to see this person interviewed. I'll do it. I'll personally reach out to them and get them on the show. All right. So please do me that favor, guys. Also, subscribe. That really helps me grow the show and reach a wider audience so I could do cool shows just like this tonight. And shout out to my sponsors, Deck Masters of South Florida. Real quick, if you're in Florida, they do the best decks possible. Front yard, backyard, all different types of wood. Beautiful finish. I've seen pictures. You got to see the pictures on their Instagram, Deck Masters of South Florida, and you could also reach them on their website as well. Also, my boy Frank Cristiano at Cross Country Mortgages. This guy, he closes loans in 7 days. He will pick up the phone no matter what time of the day you call. He could be doing number 2 on the toilet. The man will pick up the phone. That's how good he is, and that's how dedicated to his craft he is. So he's got 2 hands for a reason, one for the phone and one, well, we're not going to say what the other one's for. Also, my newest sponsor, Florida Sidewalk Solutions. Thank you guys so much for believing in the podcast, believing in the show, and sponsoring our Guy Thing podcast. Guys, if you walk, they've done work for me. I walk out the front door. My sidewalks are cracked. I try to ride my bike. I can't ride my bike because I think I'm going to fall and trip and I'm going to get hurt. These guys, they level the ground. They pave it. It looks beautiful, just like brand new. So check them out. But without further ado, tonight's episode is a special dating episode with my man, professional relationship coach, Eli Schostak. Eli, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Joe. It is awesome to be here. Very excited. Can't believe it's actually happening.
It's happening. It is. It's happening. Well, thank you for joining the show. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. I know there's a lot of people that are willing and happy and ready to tune into this episode to hear what you have to say about relationships and dating. And I'm sure they're going to ask questions and call in. So thank you for joining the show, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, just before we get into learning a little bit about me and what I do, I just want to give a shout out to you and your listeners. It's not every day that you get to interact with authentic, good-natured, kind people. And I told you last night when we were preparing for this call, I said, be prepared that I'm going to blow some smoke up your ass. And you said, all right, blow away. So, I was going to offer Joe a free coaching session with me for relationships. And he said, no. I want you to give it to my listeners. I want to go out to one of my listeners. And I've been following you for a while now. I loved your podcast that you had with David Feldman. I think, was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, he's the president of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. He's great.
Yeah. So, one of the things that you said during the podcast really resonated with me, and it allowed me to really focus in on why I wanted to do this. This podcast was that I think you were talking about fighters, and when you're in the ring, By the way, it really speaks to me being a short little bald guy, trying to fight. But you can learn from anything. And one of the things that you said is to have the ability to be knocked down and to get up and train, right? Because like we're watching them for, a few minutes in the ring, like beating the crap out of each other. But the amount of training in the training facilities that they go through day in and day out, that pain, you need to be able to withstand it because you're getting knocked down a lot.
No, absolutely.
So the ability to get up from that, and I keep having that song, I get knocked down, I get whatever, you're never going to bring me down. But anyways, it's a real pleasure to be here with you, my friend, and continue to be the authentic you that you are.
Thank you very much. And it takes time. It's not an overnight thing. We go through a lot of trials and tribulation in our life, and I feel personally that we have a bad event that happens to us, and we are the ones that have the power and control to make a certain decision in our life. Do we continue to forge forward and through these difficult times, or do we let these times kind of drown us? Yeah. So for me, I had a very rough year. And I was able to overcome it because I was the one who made the decision to think differently and just forge forward and not let certain things affect me that maybe normally would have affected me. But, so that's the purpose for me and doing this podcast. The podcast is fun for me. It's cool for me. I enjoy it. I like interacting with people and meeting new people. And hopefully I could deliver a message to people that are viewing, even if it touches one person. I don't need hundreds and thousands of people watching this. I really don't. But if
I would like that though.
Okay, we want to see if we can make that happen.
I'm not pushing. But if 100,000 people watch this, I'll be happy. Just saying. Didn't mean to interrupt. But you got to be honest, right?
No, that's the whole point of the show. It's a free speech show, so I invite that kind of talk. But yeah, I mean, if I could touch one person with a guest that I have on, to me, that's great. That's really cool. But just an FYI, this has been viewed a few thousand times, the preview to this episode. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to talk about you. Obviously a professional relationship coach. How did you get involved in becoming a professional relationship coach? I'm very curious about that.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I always knew that I wanted to help people in a deep way. That was just something that I loved. And I wanted to skip the route of spending like 6 or 7 years in psychology school. And instead, what I did is I see you're showing my toupee video. Instead, I jumped right into social work. And so here I am, you're watching me now. I also started going bald at the same time that I started to study to become a social worker. And I had a very rough time with going bald at a young age of 19. And I don't know for any of the guys out there, but when you think that you are your appearance, that you are your characteristics, when you think that you are your looks, and something starts to change by that, the insecurity really like overtakes you. And the story that I tell, which is really the truth, was that I was sitting talking to a girl and I was really interested in her, and some guy had seen me and he was looking down. We were like on some stoop or something in camp, and he was like, "Schostak, you have really thinning hair." And I thought I was going to die. I mean, Joe, if I could have gone into like a cocoon and just, so my brain at that point was basically balding prematurely equals ridicule, equals no friends, equals no girlfriend, equals no wife, equals die alone. So losing hair to me, my brain insecurely went right away to that equation, which was very unhealthy for me. But back then, the only way to fight baldness, and I was going to fight it tooth or nail, like talking about the fighters in the ring, this was my fight. And if I got hair transplants, I would look like I have a chia pet growing out of my head, right? And Like Dana's comment. Yeah, good one, Dana. And then if I went ahead and, by the way, I like your haircut, Dana. And then if I went ahead and shaved my head, which is really cool now, back then you were looking like you either joined a cult or you're, part of like, a racist mentality, neither of which I was a part of. So I did the next best thing, which was not only become the president, but also the client in the Hair Club for Men. And I remember like it was yesterday, we were just talking about New York City.
Right.
My dad and I, God bless him, he took me to Hair Club for Men in Manhattan, and he plunked down $3 freaking grand in 1990. $3 freaking grand to put the fake hair on my head. And I had a whole plan. I had a whole plan of like faking out people. Okay, so I had a little hair over here. I was going to put the hair starting back over here so that they'll just think I'm naturally going to bald. So here I am. It's crazy, by the way, the whole process of putting on the fake hair with the glue. It's nuts. So here I am. I'm a clinical social worker helping people find their truth, all the while wearing a fucking rug on my head. And not only that, but I was in the dating world. So I was constantly thinking, like, is she looking at me? Is she looking at me, and with the eyeballs, like, oh my God, she knows. Okay.
And the crazy thing is, like, she's probably not even thinking about that. That's in your head.
It's all in my head.
Yeah.
It's all in my head. So, and it was funny because my sisters and I, we used to call any time we saw a guy wearing a toupee, we'd call it an HH, which was code for hair hat. Okay, so he's wearing an HH. He's wearing an HH. So the big thing was like when I actually did date someone that I thought could lead to somewhere, my biggest fear was, how am I going to tell her that I'm wearing an HH? How am I going to tell her? So, so anyways, I had all these insecurities. And I was in the dating world for about 11 years. And I finally, after we went out 2 years and then we broke up and then we reconnected, myself and Brooke, and I knew she was it. And she just had this confidence. She's just like a kick-ass woman. And I remember like, how the hell am I going to tell her that I'm wearing fake hair? Like she didn't know.
Yeah. Like what was that? That must've been so hard for you to do that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So I remember this like it was yesterday. We were in Broadway in 96, like walking down on Broadway. And I'm like, how would you feel would you still love me if something about me was fake? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I wear a toupee. And she's like, oh, thank God. Oh, I thought it was like something else. I thought you couldn't have kids. I thought you had a fake arm or leg, which would have been fine. But, I really built it up. And it's just like what you said, Joe. It was all in my head.
Yep.
So,
and it was all on your head too.
It was all on my head, in my head. And I realized I had to get out of my mind in order to actually enjoy my life.
Right.
So this is the classic line that you will love. You and your listeners will love. Okay. And it's a concept that if you really get down, you're going to experience so much joy in your love life and in your own life, your personal life. And that is, I had this whole plan that at the age of 40, I was going to scale it back. And one day Brooke turns to me, she's like, we've been married for a while. Why don't you just take the thing off? And I'm like, what are people going to think about me? And she says,
stayed with you for a long time.
And she says, Joe, no one's thinking about you.
How true is that?
That day I ripped the puppy off. That day. Okay. So, I really realized at that point, and I shaved my head and I actually switched my practice. So you asked me, how did I become a relationship coach? I switched my practice then and there from social work to coaching, because I realized I needed to be authentic, like to have conversations like this, I wouldn't be able to do as a social worker. You have all of these, like boundaries that you put up, and you'll be in therapy. And therapy is amazing for people that are going through trauma, or you want emotional understanding. But I had this, I just wanted to be me. I just wanted to be able to have conversations like this. And I saw the results with my clients. They were like getting it. They were getting it. And so the way that I transferred to become an actual relationship coach was that I was coaching one client. He jumped on, he jumped on before. Everyone wants to hear Brooke's side of the story. She's at a meeting, but Joe, if you want her for another podcast, she'll join.
Yeah, Brooke's pretty popular these days.
Yeah,
huh?
she's awesome. She's awesome. So she puts up with me. So, so Mike walks into my office, and we had been coaching together for a while, and we were working together, and he's like, "I'm divorced. I've had enough of this dating world. I'm just done." And I was like, "Okay, sit down." And I had him go through what is now the Find the Right One coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
And he got it. And the light bulbs went off real quickly. And he has been with the same woman for almost 2 years, 2.5 years, loves himself, loves his relationship. And I wanted to not only help people get into a relationship, but since I had been single, and I've also been married, this July will be 18 years, we've had our rocky times, and we've had conflict, but the principles that I use in my marriage help me maintain it and allow it to grow every day. And what I like to tell people is that I'm not one of those guys who, will go to the bar and talk about the old ball and chain. I love her more and more each day. And the reason, and I'll shut up because I want to hear some of the questions that you got, is because I love myself more and more each day. So I can understand that once I accept myself for who I am, I can then do that for another. And I'm loving what I'm doing.
I love it, man. And I wanted to ask you, and I appreciate you sharing your story here on my podcast, especially for people that are out there listening, because I think it's important that, if you're, and we'll use this as an example, but if you're single and you're dating and you're unsuccessful in finding the right one, or you're married and having some marital issues, whatever the case may be for this particular people out here that are listening to this, I think it's very important that you understand and know who the person is that you may potentially be doing business with or confiding into in a situation like this. So I wanted you to share your story so people could hear that and be like, you know what? I get where he's coming from. I can relate to this person. I want to talk to this person. I think it's so important to know who you're dealing with rather than just giving your money to someone or spending time with someone and you don't really know who they are, where they come from. So I wanted you to share that. But I had a question for you.
Sure.
I have quite a few, but I wanted to get your opinion on things because you're in this industry.
Yeah.
But the dating app scene, it's big.
Yeah.
It's very big. So there's Bumble, there's Tinder, there's Hinge, there's Plenty of Fish, Match.com. Facebook now has integrated a dating program now.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on are they healthy? Are they good? What are your professional opinion on dating apps?
So I'll tell you the bottom line, okay? There isn't like one opinion, good, bad, okay? It really is how you take technology and use it to further your goals. Now, if your goals are healthy, you can actually use one of these apps in a healthy way, in a healthy manner, because you're meeting somebody. And yes, you're not going to be able to learn too much about them. And there are some of my clients who will say this app is better than that app, this and that. But I think that the important thing to keep in mind is what's my end goal? So is this going to get me further into a healthy, loving relationship? If you're going in with a good motive, then I think that to an extent, any one or all of these are okay. If you're going into an app with the notion, oh my gosh, I need this, I got to do this, I got to find the person, I just need to be with someone, then the mind is flying, and no matter what you engage with, whether it's technology or meeting organically in person, you're going to hit many more obstacles in the dating world. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yeah. As you see, like this pretty attractive girl here, she's talking about the Tinder app and how to
Mhm.
use it. And, really, how to use an app. Is that going to change the game about how you're going to meet someone? I don't think so.
Right.
Maybe it'll increase your odds of getting on a date with someone, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for me, it's like the dating apps are cool because it's a
Hmm.
convenient thing. It's fast. It's a easy
Hmm.
way to connect with people,
Hmm.
but you don't know who's on the other end of that screen until you physically meet this person and have a conversation with them.
A hundred
You know,
percent. That's why it's so important. First of all, I like the approach that you're taking with it, because many people have different opinions about different things, right? So um, you'll have people in the single world who will say, "Oh my God, this just the entire dating experience from beginning to end sucks shit." Okay.
Hmm.
Now, if you feel that way, and then you look at an app, you look at the Tinder, you look at Bumble, whatever it is that you're trying to, you're coming in with that mind frame to the dating world, and it's going to affect your results, right? So
Mhm.
it's like, I can't stand this. Dating sucks, and now I've got to go ahead. The whole idea is like what you said. It's convenient,
Right.
and I need to meet the person and then take a look for myself. Is this, first of all, is this a real human being? Or is this
Am I getting catfished?
right? Am I getting
Yeah.
catfished? Is this yeah? So like it's really funny that you mentioned this, just in terms of online in general. So one of my clients, I think she's watching now, Jess. If she's on, she said she was going to call in. But last night I gave an event. I was at an event in New York City, close to our hometown, Brooklyn. And she said, when you first messaged me on Facebook and you said like, oh, I have a group that can help people get into, I thought you were full of shit. Okay. Now she's been in the program for 3 weeks. She says her entire life has changed, this and that.
In
And
3 weeks.
less than 3 weeks, I'm telling you. And it's interesting. I said that's really good feedback for me, because I want to change my approach at the beginning. I'm always open, like you. I'm into learning. I'm into
Mhm.
learning about life. So I want to change my initial approach to meeting people, because as you can tell from this conversation, I'm pretty real. I keep it real.
Absolutely.
Um, so getting back to your point, there is that element of having to do the due diligence of, even though I might connect with you through technology and it's easy, you need to put your head on straight and
Mhm.
say, okay, again, is this real? Is this legitimate? Let me learn for myself.
Yeah, I have friends, myself included. I've gone on the dating apps, Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, Plenty of Fish, and I've had these conversations with friends that are on these apps too, and it's quite interesting. But you know, I feel like these the girls especially, they probably get hit up a lot on these apps.
Yeah.
Guys left and right sending messages.
Yeah.
So, even though you match with someone, you may not hear from the person at all.
Mm.
So it's like, and I could see where some people get down because I've had these conversations with people before where they're like, "Oh man, like I reach out to this girl, we matched, and she doesn't talk to me," and they get so down about it. And
Yeah.
and it's like, well, what are you really getting down about? You're getting down about a picture of a person that didn't respond to you. If you think about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I mean,
right.
it's so true though. Like you're looking at a
Yeah.
picture. I could literally like go on Google and type in "pretty girl" and look at a bunch of pictures, and they're not going to respond to me either. So, like, what do you, what are you getting
Well,
upset about? It
right.
is what it is.
It is, well, that in general is a very good approach, but I think that it's more than just getting upset about being let down by a picture. I think that the majority of the world, and this is a big component of my program, is viewing love relationships as there's somebody out there for me. I haven't found them, but when I find them, life is going to be easy streets from here on in. It's like I'm good. I'm good, you know? And that's what the real disappointment is, that they didn't hear back from the girl. It's that they're banking on this to bring them joy and happiness into their life. And we need to reverse that mind frame.
True. That's so true, man. Yeah, it's a different time. I personally remember, getting into the dating game before there was any dating app or anything like that. You actually had to have the balls and the guts to walk up to a girl and talk to her, because there really wasn't. I mean, I come from the beeper times, so like, there wasn't even texting when I was growing up. That came later on. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different. It's a very different time.
It is. And, but I want to tell you something that it's also really, really important, because people
Oh, we have a caller. Do you want to take a call?
Okay.
This
Sure.
is Jess.
This is Jess. Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Jess. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey. Well, I thank you so much. I couldn't let Ellie just speak for me, so I figured I'd call in and just say my spiel, because he knows I'm not quiet and I don't hold back. But
Not at all.
I get absolutely nothing for this. But no, I mean, this guy's awesome. I literally, like he said, he messaged me and I'm like, what the heck? Like, what is this nonsense? Like, who's messaging me on Facebook Messenger? This is weird. And I didn't look at it. And I'm a psychotherapist. I've been in therapy for a long time. I've been working on myself for a long time. And a lot of these concepts are not brand new to me, although they're much easier to think about when you're talking about somebody else's life rather than your own. And I started the program 3 weeks ago. It's changed my entire mindset, my entire just way of functioning in the world, like forgetting relationships, but really, again, like my relationship with myself and my day-to-day functioning. And it's really, this guy is amazing, and he's really helped me to see the light, so to speak. And I'm really excited to continue to learn as I progress through the program. But seriously, this guy's the best. So
what's it for you, Jess, that within less than 3 weeks, like what was it that was like an enlightening moment for you? Like, wow, like I should have been thinking like this a long time ago. What was it for you?
Well, the funny thing was I was completely skeptical, excuse me. I was like, this is not really going to help, but I was so frustrated and fed up, and I had started dating again after a breakup a few months ago, and I felt myself getting trapped in these same thinking patterns, like after these dates, sort of obsessing and worrying and thinking, and how do I react and what do I do and how do I respond? And I'm like, I can't freaking do this again. So, I'm like, let me give this a chance. Like, I have some extra money in my self-care budget, so to speak, and I want to invest in myself and do this. And I realized quickly that Ellie was someone who actually really gave a shit, like I said last night. And so the first week, very first lesson,
sometimes I even give 2.
Sometimes you give 2, sometimes 3. Sometimes 3, who knows?
You gotta watch that third one, though.
Yeah, gotta watch out.
Oh, shoot. Hold on once.
We got some technical difficulties.
This is live. I'm loving it. This is
great. This is what we do live. Oh, she's out. She'll work her way back in, I'm sure. But I want to ask you this, another question I had for you. And this is, I think maybe a lot of our listeners will be happy about. Oh, Jess is back. Let's get Jess in for some closing comments. Jess, welcome back. Oh, no sound now. Oh, we're how about now? Let's hear it. No sound. We'll work on those technical difficulties and we'll get right back to you. But I want to ask you this, Ellie. I think it's really important too. How to know when someone isn't right for you, because we tend to get involved and invested into these relationships with people, and the word I hear a lot from people is convenient. It's hard to get out of the relationship because we have kids. It's convenient. Or it's hard to get out of a relationship. We've been together for a while. We know each other for a long time. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good, healthy relationship. So, how do you know when this person that you've known for so long really isn't the right one for you right now in your life?
So the way that I answer this question is, there's a part of all of us that if I ask you, Joe, right now, if you have a question going on in your life, let's say you just started to date someone, okay, and you're unsure, or let's give it 3 weeks to 4 weeks of dating. So you have a somewhat of a picture, and you're starting to debate whether it's healthy or not. Here's what I would advise you to do, okay? I would advise you to go to a quiet spot and ask yourself the question, is this for me or not? Take a deep breath and ask yourself that question. I guarantee you, your gut will tell you exactly what the answer is. Now, here's the trick. Act on it. That's what I deal with my clients day in. It's having the confidence and the ability to crush your fears, to be able to know I'm going to be fine.
Look at this stupid duck. Sorry to interrupt, but
That's fine.
This is YouTube. But go ahead, continue.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So for example, right? In other words, like you have this type of relationship where the fights are so horrible, right? And yet you rationalize and you say, okay, I'm going to stay in it for this. I'm going to stay in it for that. When you go to that quiet place and you ask yourself, do I want to be in this? You will know what your answer is. It takes the confident person. And by the way, a way to build confidence is to make these decisions quickly. And that's
look at the decision he made quickly wasn't so good.
No. You got some great videos over here. I'm like ready to watch The Wolf of Wall Street again. So that was a very cool movie.
It was great.
So yeah, I know the two of us just watched The Irishman. I'm a little concerned. A
little concerned. I mean, that's such a good scene right there. Yeah.
But yeah. So does that make sense to you? In other words, the idea of knowing what you want and then acting on it, because I can tell you for me what is healthy and what's unhealthy, but for you it might be very different. It's knowing Jess is a big fan.
She really is. That's so cool.
Yeah. And what's really great about her is that she is a psychologist, and to be able to be open, even if you're in that field, to be open to new ways of thinking and being is really wonderful. But yeah, that's my answer to you, my friend, is that have the ability that when you're feeling something in your stomach, it's usually right. It's usually right. You need to learn to trust yourself, and you need to learn. Yeah, you go.
I completely agree with that. You know, I've been in a rough situation in a relationship before, and there was many times, you know, in the back of my mind, you know, hey, something doesn't seem right here, you know, doesn't sit well with me. You know, there are things, there are events, there are situations that are happening, or facts that are starting to come to light, fruition. And it's like, this doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem like I should be in this situation, but I kind of powered through it anyway. You know what I mean? So yeah, I get that. Following your instinct and that gut feeling, like totally agree with you. Hello from Tennessee. What's up, Tennessee?
How's it going, Danita?
I love Tennessee, by the way. You ever been there?
I have not.
Beautiful place. I was in the Smoky Mountains in Danita, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I was in the Pigeon Forge area. Loved it. Smokies is a beautiful place. You got to go visit.
That's great. Yeah, I got to check that out. Yeah, like traveling with Brooke. We were talking before the show. We went to Prague, and having the ability to connect with one another. And our relationship is one where we really accept each other for who we are. So it's really important to love your independence, and
that's
also,
key.
Yeah, and also respect the other's independence. And it takes a person who really loves themselves and accepts themselves for who they are to be able to give that to another, and that I think is one of the keys to a healthy relationship. But
I'm-
you go, because I don't want to forget about one client. You mentioned like what happens when
Mhm.
you know and the facts start to pile up. So I have a client, and she is so kick-ass. This woman, really has taken like the reins when it comes to loving herself and really removing negativity and toxicity from her life. She got married, and the night of her marriage, she knew that this wasn't for her. She didn't want to tell her parents.
It's like a Beverly Hills 90210 episode.
But Joe, 26 years later, she was able to leave. So
Wow.
imagine the years and the buildup of knowing right away, but not having the support and not having the belief in yourself that you're going to be fine, to be able to yeah. So that I just wanted to share that story. But
We got a question from Danita right here. Why do some men feel intimidated by a woman's independence? It's a good question.
that's a great question. Do you want to go for it, Joe, or do you want me to?
I'm going to leave it to the pro.
I think in general, someone, Danita, who's insecure feels intimidated by someone who is secure. So it's not necessarily men or women. I think someone who really loves themselves and their independence is coming from that place of confidence and I love my life. When they encounter another person who can't do that for themselves, it's like, so that's my answer on that.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I think it stems from insecurities, right? I gave John, I gave you the link. If you go in the chat, I'll post the link for you, and you could just copy and paste that link, and you could fall in if you like. But I'm Danita, I'm glad you asked that question. For me personally, I just think that there's a lot of, not going to say a lot of, but there are insecure men out there that are probably intimidated by a woman's independence. Maybe they want a woman to depend on them, and they're insecure about that. So, yeah, and I personally believe that everybody should have their own independence. I think that's really key, and in respecting one another's independence as well.
So take Danita's point and just amplify it. So following your gut is going into the relationship or going into the situation where a person may feel, because when you ask the question, why is it that some men feel intimidated by independence? Like, how does that play itself out? So like when I tell the guy who I'm dating that I'd like to do something on my own, they say, no, you can't do that. Okay. So question that. Have some questions around it before you nix the person as being an insecure loser. Which they might be. I don't think of anyone like that, but I'm just saying they might be insecure. But in the same way that you might have a judgment, Danita, in your mind, which says insecure men fear my independence, right? So that might be going on in your brain. So when you encounter a situation with someone who even might show a glimpse of that, you might be limiting yourself to a possibly good relationship by a comment that he might make. So I would just be open to new situations while keeping that in the back of your head. And if, of course, you feel that, well, you can't do anything without me, and we've got to always do stuff together, and every single time you can't work out when you're supposed to, then yeah, get the hell out. Next.
Get out. I agree. Yeah, you gotta. You want? I just want. I mean, I'm a single dude, but I'd like to meet a nice girl that I could just have a good time with, and have fun with, and have that mutual understanding of one another. Look, you get me for my imperfections, I get you for yours, but we don't really want to. We don't care about that kind of stuff. We're just focusing on like nice, positive things in life. So yeah. Keep the drama away from me, because if you're a chick and you got drama in your life, leave me out of it. I don't want it. I got my own stuff going on. I don't need any more. Actually, I really don't have that much drama in my life. As a matter of fact, I choose to release negativity as quickly as possible and keep it positive as much as I possibly can. Obviously, I'm not perfect. I have bad days, but the goal is to wake up every day with a smile on my face, knowing that I'm going to have a good day today. you know? And if I do have some sort of negativity or drama that happens in my life, I'm going to conquer it as quickly as possible and move on. So yeah, if you're one of those people, one of those women that are into, you know, you're just negative, or you let people actions and things that they say affect you to the point where your whole day is ruined, you know, it's not for me personally.
Right.
You know,
Well, so I didn't realize that we're doing a dating show for Joe. And now that we are, I will also express that on the guy side, there are many men that are also dramatic in their emotions and in their reactions and in their perceptions of life. And I think a healthy woman doesn't want that shit either, right? You know, the story that I like to tell, the story that I like to tell was that I was had my car. I see Elizabeth is a lot of these guys inside show dick, but they don't know that we don't like that, right? Yeah. Again, Elizabeth, very good point. So if you see that some of these sites are bringing negativity, like these people showing inappropriate pictures, you know that you want healthy. So this is not an avenue for me that's going to get healthy. I need a different strategy to get what I want. Okay. But to your point, Joe, about the drama and stuff like that. So I was telling the story last night. I'm not even going to say the word on the camera because I can't, because I don't talk that way about people. But I had my car being serviced, and they send a Lyft driver from the dealership to pick me up at the house. So it's a woman in her 30s. And she says to me, "Oh, so you're getting your car. Are you a car guy?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Are you a sports guy?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Are you a lawyer?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Well, what are you? What do you do?" I said, "I'm a people person." She goes, "Great. So what do you do for a living?" I go, "I'm a relationship coach." She goes, "Oh, well, my cousin, he's a marriage therapist. He's been divorced 3 times. What about you?" I go, "I've been married to the same woman for 18 years. She goes, "Oh, I'd see you instead." She goes, "But don't all men want," and she says the B word. Okay. And my mouth dropped. I said, you know, rhymes with witches. I'm not even going to say it publicly because I would never talk about women that way. And I said, "What the hell are you saying?" And she's like, "Well, that's the book that I just read. Why All Men Love, you know, Witches." And I said, "Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. The book teaches you how to play hard to get, and then that will make the guy more attracted to you, right?" And she says, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, so you're going into the date being inauthentic because I assume you're nice. You're not really acting like this type of mean person." She goes, "No, I am nice." I go, "So you're going to act mean and not get back to the guy and cause the drama because you think that that's what he wants, when he might not want that. So you're not being you. He's not being him." And that's where I think drama comes into play, both on the guy side and the female side.
Makes sense. Thank you for that. I have another question from John. We're going to pop John's comment, John Humble.
Okay.
But here it is. He said, "I've been married for almost 5 years, have 3 kids, 2 from my wife and 1 from a previous relationship my wife had. We went through some rocky times and are now in marriage therapy. I love my wife dearly, and she is a great mom. I think she is pursuing a relationship outside of my marriage, but I will not keep fighting. Any advice, John?"
Okay. So first of all, John, that's very open of you and very real.
Yeah. You got a lot of balls for putting that out there, John. That's cool, man.
Huge amount of balls. So here's what I said to Joe earlier. Okay. So here's what I'd advise you to do. Go to a room and give yourself some time, do a few deep breaths, and ask yourself the question, what do I really want? Let the answer come to you. I guarantee you'll know exactly what you want to do. It already sounds, by the way, from the question, what you want to do. Right? Could you put up the question again, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
Right. So John, you wrote at the end, "I think she's pursuing this relationship, but I will not keep fighting." So you kind of are saying what you want. You don't want to fight anymore. So then what's the next step for you? Right? You really do know your answer. The question now is, John, Are you going to have enough love and belief in yourself to do what you need to do in order to bring more joy and peace into your life?
He also said this, and I agree with you on that one. I say no. He says, I want to be with my wife. I also know the guy she's communicating with. Should I confront him? Absolutely not. John, I'll speak from experience here. The last thing you want to do is confront, and I'll tell you why. By you confronting, you're putting more negative energy into a negative situation, which is only going to make more of a negative outcome, right? You don't want that. You're already in a bad spot. So you really don't want to put anything more on you, any more pressure on you, any more negative action on you. Your wife is the one that is possibly communicating with this guy, right? It seems like you kind of know that she is. That's on her. She's the one making that decision. By you kind of getting in the middle now and confronting this guy, that now you're I know this may sound wrong, but it's not. You're going to make yourself as equally as bad as her. Your best bet is to confront her about it. Let her know that you understand the situation that's going on. It's time for you to walk, brother.
So
that's my opinion, but I'm going to let the pro handle it.
I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Joe said, which 100% that will only increase negativity in your life if you deal with that. But why don't we just play out the situation? Let's say you confront him. And by the way, when we use the word confront, it's usually not like having a cup of coffee. When you confront someone, it looks like hey, dude, what are you doing talking to my, right? That's usually confront. But let's just say you even had a nice way of dealing with it. Is there any possible answer that this person could give you that's going to make you feel happy? Nothing. Is he going to say, actually, I am. We're having a really, really nice time together.
I'm trying to get him in. John, if you can, just copy and paste that link I just put in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Get in here. We'll talk about it, bro.
Yeah, this is good stuff. Because it really all comes back to you, John. It comes back to, do you have the courage? And I believe that you do. I don't know you, but I believe that you do. I believe that about all of us. I believe that our minds cloud the true you of who you are. And one of the purposes, and I feel one of your purposes, Joe, in having podcasts like this is to allow the real self to come out and to be the real you. So, John, I believe in you. Joe believes in you. But what I believe or what Joe believes doesn't really matter. It's what you believe about you that's going to change this for the better. So take the time, like I said, go to the room, decide what you want, and allow yourself to just be. And say, Bruce Lee, I love Bruce Lee. I've been really into him. There was a really good book about him, his biography. And he would ask the question, is what I'm about to say or do going to bring happiness or sadness into my life? And if he wasn't sure, he just would do nothing. Mm-hmm. So that's a really good question you can ask yourself with, and I'll tell you, and Joe's going to agree, that if you confront this dude, it's only going to bring unhappiness.
Yeah. And, John added he wants to reconcile. So, if you want to reconcile with your wife or find a way to communicate with her and work through your differences, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But by you confronting this dude, that's going to be really hard to reconcile with her if you do that. As much as, of course, we're all men, we want to smash them. I'm with you. I get it. I would love to pound somebody in the head if they were talking to my wife, if I knew about that. But at the end of the day, what is it really worth? You're investing a lot of energy and time in someone that's doing this to you behind your back. And then you have to ask yourself, is that person really worth it? So yeah, it hurts in the beginning, but you got to, like Ellie said, you got to take that time to yourself to really think about what you want in your life. I think that as humans, we sometimes rely on other humans to make us feel good. And I think that's the worst burden that we could put on anyone, is relying on another human being to make ourselves happy. The only person that's going to make you happy is you. And you have to find that in yourself first. And if you could do that, you'll be ahead of the curve. That's me speaking from experience. That's
Joe. That's an integral part of my Find the Right One coaching program, is that people feel out there that and I had this in my marriage. When I was first married, my first year of marriage, I would constantly be looking at Brooke and I'd say, she should be doing something else in order for me to be happy. You shouldn't be doing this in order to, it's stupid. It's just stupid. I don't really even know what she's thinking, but I'm automatically thinking she should be doing something else in order for, you're always behind the 8 ball if you're living like that. So I would actually turn that around, that statement that John had, which is, I want to reconcile with her. And I would turn that around on you, and I would say, I want to reconcile with myself. I want to look inside myself and be at peace with my life. And moving from that place, which Joe described so well, which is, I want to provide myself with peace and happiness. What do I need to do in order to increase that? Then you go into the conversation with your wife from power, as opposed to fear. Oh my God, what if she's talking to the guy? Oh my God, what's going to be? Oh my God, oh my God, what, oh my God, oh my God. No. Hey, I know we've had some rough times. I know that things are a little bit rocky. I care about, I'm not talking to you, Joe. I'm just pretending I'm John. Okay. Although if you want me to talk to you that way, I can. But I care about you. I want this to work. I want to work with you on this. I want to work on myself. Is there a way that we could talk about things? When you come from there, it's so much more peaceful than, what the hell are you doing talking to that guy? I mean, like, forget it. It's over.
It's so true, man. I agree with you, John. I hope this this helped you out and just kind of give you a little oh, look at that. Scott Gaddy's in here. He said, I do like that kind of talk. I know. Yeah. Scott's a good dude. He's all the way from Virginia. And I called him my guardian IT angel. He really is. Thanks for joining, Scott. And John.
Thank you for your service, Scott.
Yep.
And John, you're a good man. I'm glad that we were able to help.
Yeah, keep tuning in, John, because we got some more topics we want to talk about too. The other question I wanted to ask you too. And now, a lot of these questions I'm asking are, a couple are from me, and then some are from friends that I know they're in certain situations, and some have reached out to me. So that's why I'm popping these up. And again, for the listeners out there, feel free to ask your questions just the way John did as well. But I want to ask you this too.
Sure.
So what are some steps to take in order to improve a failing relationship? Something to kind of piggyback on John's situation.
Okay. Well, the first step is to not necessarily look at the relationship that's going to either get better or get worse. And before I give you like what to do within the relationship, you want to turn inward before you turn outward. It's like what we were talking about before with John. What you want to do is I'm always waiting for what videos are going to pop up next.
I don't know. I got a stupid ad probably coming up now.
Oh, okay.
These stupid idiots that keep popping up.
Yeah, turn inward before outward. And I'm like, all right. I'm gonna
Capital was not even one of my sponsors. What the hell are you doing on my screen?
What the hell?
Stupid.
So, oh my gosh. Couples retreat. I thought you were going to be playing something from The Breakup, because that a good friend.
That would have been a good one.
Yeah, a friend of mine wrote that movie. He's a really funny guy. He also wrote The Hangover. Jeremy Garrow. Yeah,
my favorite comedy of all time.
Oh yeah, he used to. We used to be in touch. He's a really, really funny guy. Really great guy. So I think that what you want to do in order to improve the relationship is first turn inward and take a little bit of a deep dive into, is my mind making this situation out to be worse than what it really is? Because our minds really have a tendency, Joe, to create a lot of drama and shit about what's going on, right? So I could have, I'll give you an example. I could have an argument with Brooke, and let's say I'm not aware of how my mind operates. And my mind right away is like, oh my God, there she goes again. Damn it. I can't deal with this. Every damn time she's bringing this up, right? Yeah, I sound a little bit like George Costanza, I think, right? So what's happening now in my brain is I'm now starting to judge the situation that already passed. I can't believe that you did it. This is horrible. This is happening way too many times. And every single time, do you see that I'm not even dealing with the fight? I'm dealing with the story in my head, which is making it out to be a lot worse than it is, right? So let's say it was a fight about who's going to pick up the kid, from a game or whatever it is. And I thought you told me it's going to be you. Oh, you told me it's going to be me. I can't believe it. I texted you. You should have gotten it. And we start getting into the fight. Mm-hmm. Now, if I build a story in my brain, oh, I can't believe she did that. She is really out of line. She is not a good person. I can't believe I'm not with a. Are you nuts? Ellie, do you have a problem in your head? Yeah, I do. Because I'm not dealing with the fact that it was a miscommunication about who's going to get the kid. I'm dealing with the quintessential argument of whether or not I'm with a good person. So that's what my first step is. Get your shit together in your brain and understand that your mind is going to make things out to be a lot worse than what it is. That's step one. Make sense?
It does. It really does. When I went through my divorce, for me, was important for me to really understand who I was as a man, all different aspects of myself. I learned quite a bit about myself. A lot of people, when bad things happen to them, and myself included, for a very long time, when negative or bad things would happen in my life, I'd let it really define me. And you can't. The come up from your negative event is what defines you and how you get out of that. And it was pretty amazing for me because I learned so much. So, when I look back, the toughest year of my life was the most beautiful year of my life because I never learned so much about myself until I went through that tough year. So you got to look at it from both sides of the table. It's not always as bad as it seems. It is actually sometimes an awakening for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I agree with what you're saying. I really, truly in my heart feel and believe that it all starts within ourselves. So rather than putting the burden on others, put the burden on yourself. Rather than putting the responsibility on others, put the responsibility on yourself. Rather than putting accountability on others, put accountability on yourself. Make it about you. And then the things that you want in your life will gravitate towards you. I believe that.
You're 100% right. And it's for that reason that I named my program Find the Right One. Because initially when someone hears Find the Right One, they think, oh, he's going to help me find this other person to complete me. But I have 100% success rate in my program because the right one is you. You are the right one. So I have two metrics in my program. I measure finding the right one. I have 100% success rate because everyone understands that, as you said, you're the one who's going to grow. You're the one who was born alone. And when that body's in that casket or it's cremated, you ain't taking anyone with you in that box.
And you can't take the cash either, so you should spend it.
That's correct. You just enjoy it. Enjoy it. My grandfather used to say, I'm going to give you money now, Ellie, while I'm alive so I can see you enjoy it.
That's cool.
It's not going to be anything for me, So, yeah, and then the second component that I measure is once you fully embrace that the right one is you, Joe, then you can get into and maintain that healthy, loving relationship because you understand that other person will only enhance your experience. So it's not going to make you.
So let me ask you this. For those people out there that are very confident in themselves and very self-aware and are constantly trying to improve who they are, or just constantly aware of themselves, they those are the type of people that feel very content within their own skin.
Mm-hmm.
But also, because I know people like this, I'm one of them. But when you meet a woman or a man and they're settled in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people tend to be like, oh man, this person needs to be like me. You know, like how do you define that? Well, I have to understand that he or she is their own person. I'm my own person. But we need to find that happy medium. I need to understand where they're coming from. I need to also participate in things that they like, even though I may not like it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what's the mindset going in? And
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm asking that question right, but I'm sure you've heard something like this before.
I have, and truthfully, it's probably the most important component of my entire program. It's how does one view love from a healthy perspective. So I think that it's important to understand how the world views love and how a healthy way of viewing love is. The majority of the world, all those movies that you played and the rom-coms out there, is in the world of you complete me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once I find this person, I'm going to have to make compromises, like what you're saying. I'm a good person. I'm confident, but like I get it. Oh my gosh, she likes this. I'm going to have to like that. Oh crap. I'm not. You know, I got to go to this movie. I can't stand this. Or, you know, you're going to date someone, she hates boxing. I'll forget it. I'm never going to be with this. And you start to identify what certain things that you feel are you, and that I can't let somebody in my life who's different. Or so I think it's important to realize that loving yourself first. Oh, let's see what Jessica says. Even when we are confident and understand who we are, we might not realize how our mind is getting us into unhealthy situations. Yeah. And I think that what we need to do is realize that the world has got it wrong. I don't need somebody else in order to complete me. I complete me. I love myself for who I am. And by doing that, love, the word love is just very confusing, right? Let's just make it real simple. Loving yourself means acceptance of who you are, for all your faults, for all your unhealthy thoughts, for all your nuttiness, for all your, you know, texting the girl because you, oh my gosh, she didn't get back to me. Oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Oh damn it, that's why she didn't get back, because I texted. Oh, I shouldn't have texted.
And meanwhile, she's getting a mani-pedi somewhere.
Exactly.
And you're going nuts over nothing.
You're going crazy. Or the opposite, like, I can't believe you didn't get back to me. It's been a whole day. It's been a whole day, and we had such a good date. And then he tells you, well, my phone died or something like that, which could be true or not be true. It's the idea of, I am going to be fine with you. I'm also going to be fine without you.
Right. It's big.
That is the key. That's the key right there. So when you're confident and you love who you are, you accept yourself for who you are, you will be able to do that for another. And you will go, Joe, with this person to the movie, even though you don't like it, because, you know, I'm okay with it. I'm okay just by being in a situation. I'm not going to judge it but I also have the independence to know that, let's say it's something, let's say I don't like horror movies and she does, okay? And are you
going to hide under the blanket?
Right, yeah. No, but let's just say that she wants to go see it, and I just know that it has a negative effect on my mind by watching these things. I'll have nightmares, this and that. I'll say, listen, I love you, enjoy it. Here's a ticket, and I'm going to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if she's not okay with that, then that's where the issue lies.
Right. It has to be addressed.
Yeah. And the same thing with you. And if the guy is not okay with you being you, and it gets into that whole world, oh, you got to tell me where you're going and what's a then that's when you know that you're dealing with unhealthy and it's time to move on.
So
this has been so freaking awesome. I'm like loving this, Joe.
Dude, I'm glad you are. I'm having a great time. I mean, we're a lot of interaction with the listeners and great topics, great information from you.
Yeah.
What about,
because you know, it's important to you have a lot of courage. You know, you're in front of, you know, I don't know how many listeners, 30,000, this and that, and it's phenomenal. But to open yourself up and know that there are people watching you, their family members and friends, and talking about your life is not an easy thing. So just by doing that, it shows a lot of courage.
You know, it's conversation, it's dialogue, it's situations, it's events. We all go through it. We may not go through the same identical thing, but we could all understand where each other are coming from. So, I mean, for me, it's no big deal. I could talk about anything. You know, it's just a matter of having these conversations and inspiring other people that maybe don't, you know, and just for a lack of a better term, don't have the courage to speak about these things, but to hear it from someone else. Sometimes that's all a person needs. So, I'm happy to do that on my podcast. Deb is here. Deb said she started week 2, and Eli is my Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi, Daniel-san. Wax on, wax off. I've learned a lot about my needs in a relationship, which I have always put aside for other people's happiness. Okay, I've been there too, Deb. Making myself number one is the biggest lesson Eli has taught me. That's cool.
Yeah. It's funny. First of all, Debbie, thank you. She's an amazing human being. A lot of times in my program, people see that I say the words "you're awesome" a lot, right? You're awesome. You're awesome. And people would ask me like, "Oh, how you doing?" And I'd be like, "I'm awesome." I think when I started saying that, like maybe 16 years ago, people would ask, "Hey, how you doing?" And I say, "I'm awesome." I didn't believe it. But the more that I would talk like that, and not in the egotistical sense, oh, I'm awesome and you suck, but that we're equally awesome, you just have to understand that. I don't feel any bit higher than you or any bit lower than you. I believe that we're both equally awesome. We can bring that out in each other. So, so hang on, my hat. Hats off to you, Joe, for being you.
Oh, thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Same to you, man. Right back at you. I wanted to ask you too, single parents and dating. Very important, especially in this day and age. I have a lot of friends out there that are single parents. They're trying to get in the date game. And there's a lot of different things that happen with single parents and with children, you know, introducing the child to the new person that they're bringing into their life, you know, whether there's another parent involved or not, you know, there's a lot of time, you know, obviously making time to spend with one another while having the child involved. So what are your thoughts on single parents that are getting themselves back into the dating scene?
So two things that are very, very important to know. First of all, awesome question, because it's really huge. As you bring into the dating world the children that you have from a previous relationship, your mind, just like the mother bear or the father bear, like is very protective. And you know that usually they've gone through some type, I don't want to say trauma, but most breakups usually aren't that amicable. If they are, it's really rare. And you know what? If they are, freaking awesome. That's incredible. But I think it's important for the person who's going back into the world to know that as long as you're dating with a healthy motive, which is, I love myself, I want to share that love with someone else, and I want someone who's healthy, you're actually showing your children what it means to be a healthy person in this world. You see, there's so many fears around, what are they going to think? When do I introduce them? If I do it now, then they're going to get too attached. And if they get too attached, do you see how I'm like 18 steps ahead?
Yeah.
You haven't even like connected on Tinder, and you're already like, oh my God, you know, Jimmy's going to hate her.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess, you know, I mean, I've been in similar situations. So, but yeah, it's got to be tough, man. But you got to really, I guess, analyze the person that you're potentially going to date to make sure this is a safe environment for your kid.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. You want to date healthy. But the reason why I'm saying is take a little bit of the pressure off of your mind so that you can allow yourself to be yourself and enjoy, because you're a human and you have needs and you want to share your life with someone if you want to, okay? And be with someone healthy. And as long as you have that motive when you're going into the dating world, then your children will see someone with health going into the dating world, and that will give them an example of
Mhm.
I'm allowed to love myself and love someone in the process, as opposed to, oh my God, what are they going to think about it? Because what you're really doing is giving them the fears of, oh my gosh, what's going to be with a relationship. Does that make sense?
That does. It really does. And then, my other thing is parents fighting in front of kids.
Oh yeah.
We as married people out there that have children, you get into arguments, it gets hot and heavy, and you forget the kids are in the room sometimes. Like,
Totally.
so what's your advice on parents and maybe some steps that they could take to avoid this, or be a little improve on this?
That's a great question. So I think that when you're dealing with the topic of anger, right, which is really when the fights begin, it's important in general to have some type of either a 4-step process that, like, when I get angry, I take the 4 deep breaths, I stop, I go to another room, like almost like you become like R2D2, like, okay, fight, go to the room, because what's going to happen is you're going to wind up engaging and yelling, and then what happens in the aftermath is you feel terrible about the fact that, all right, watch video. Oh, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Of course, fighting in front of the kids, man.
This
movie was great for that.
This is great. Oh, he was hilarious. I really miss him.
I met him a long time ago in Miami. I used to be involved in acting. I have a membership in the Screen Actors Guild, and my first gig that I ever got, I was a background extra in this movie that Robin Williams and John Travolta were in. And I got to meet him. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. We just wrapped, and we were at like outside a tattoo parlor. And the, I guess, casting director, whoever was there, selected me and some girl to hang outside this tattoo parlor while Robin Williams was inside getting a tattoo done. So the cameras were kind of like panning from the outside, watching him through the window get this tattoo, screaming. And we wrapped, and at the end, he walked out and he turned to his left. He looked at me and he's put his hand out and he shook my hand and he said, "I just want to thank you for staying here this late. We were there from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It was wild." And he was such a nice guy. He shook the girl's hand. He just started shaking people's hands, all these random extras that were there, just thanking them for staying out to help make the movie happen. I mean, he was such a nice guy. John Travolta, he went through the back door, hopped in a limo, and he was gone. Nobody saw his ass.
And he took his toupee off right when he got into the car.
He's got a toupee?
He used to.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Yep, I told you. I can tell on HH right away. But
wow, HH radar.
HH radar. But I will tell you that in terms of, it's good to have a go-to mantra in your brain to at least prevent you from the fight. But then in the aftermath of things, I think it's important to not be very hard on yourself, because I give this example all the time that if I have the thought, Joe, in my brain, Ellie is an amazing father, okay? And let's say I have that identity in my brain and I yell at my kid, right? So then I leave the room. I feel bad for having yelled at him, but then I also feel bad because my identity is threatened. See, Ellie, you're not such a good dad. You suck. So you need to be cognizant of your identities and realize that you are not them. So that will make it easier for you, because your thoughts around the situation of yelling in front of the kid, oh man, they're going to see a bad marriage. And if they see a bad marriage, then they're going to have a bad marriage. And then they're going to hate themselves because I yelled. Again, you're dealing with the identities. You're dealing with the thoughts around the situation as opposed to what happened. You yelled. It was uncomfortable. So how incredible would it be if in front of the children you walked up to your partner and you said, "I really want to tell you I'm very, very sorry for how I behaved." And you go over to the kids and you say, "I really lost it there and it wasn't right and I'm really sorry." That has just an effect, just as an effect. As shitty as the yelling was,
right.
Imagine You remembered till this day that Robin Williams came and shook your hand.
Right.
Your mind didn't go to he committed suicide because he had depression and because he had all these things, right? Which all the news was all bad. You remembered that he treated you with respect.
Sure.
So if after that argument, you're able to go to the child and help them see you're human, you're going to lose it, but there's a way to deal with the aftermath. That's golden.
Yeah. You know, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because a lot of times when parents fight in front of kids, the kids see the fight, but they don't see the makeup. You know, they don't witness that part. They just see the argument, and then a couple of days later, everything's back to normal. And children, in their mind, they don't get it. Like, wait a minute, what just happened here? You know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that. Like, apologizing in front of the kids and then apologizing to the kids. It's huge.
It's huge. It's huge. It's apologizing. You show these kids. Thank you, Dino. You show these kids that you're human. You are human. You have faults. And it's okay, because strong, confident humans love themselves. And what did we say love is? Acceptance. Accept yourself that you made a mistake. Okay, you didn't handle this the right way. But there's a way to deal with the aftermath. And that's to tell the child, I love you. I care about you. I apologize. That wasn't nice the way that I spoke.
I love it. Now we're going to transition into the winner.
Oh, wow. I'm excited.
Yeah. We've been cruising well over an hour here. This has been a great conversation. I'm loving it.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even look at the time, dude. I'm like, I could just like chill out with you. We haven't even talked Brooklyn, man. Bay, Kings Plaza, the whole thing.
The old roots, man. I'm telling you, man. When I'll be in New York, bro, and when I'm in New York,
we're hanging.
We're gonna get together. And anytime you come down to Florida, obviously,
100%.
We'll get together, man. I don't know if you're a Scotch drinker, but I like to. Ellie, you speak my language. You speaking in the language together.
Mignone. Joe Mignone.
Mignone. That's how the Italians say it. The real Italians from Italy say it. The Mignone.
That's all right. I like
the Americans, they don't say it right.
No.
So, but yeah, wanted to announce the winner. We've had some excellent interaction today, and I'm really excited to announce this. Now, just let our potential winner know what exactly are they getting.
So we're offering a free coaching session with me for 1 hour, where you can ask me anything about your love relationships, about your situation, and how to get from where you are to where you want to be in that hour. So it's all yours. And I usually charge a lot for one-on-one coaching. I'll tell you that much.
That's awesome. So yeah, the winner today is John Humble won. John Humble won it.
You won it, John. See, I started to give you some advice. Now you got a full hour of me. That's awesome.
That is really cool stuff, man.
I'm very excited.
I'm really happy for John. I know, John, you're definitely going through some stuff, and I'm glad you participated. Also had the guts and courage to put your personal stuff out there to a bunch of strangers. That's cool. So you're definitely making a step in the right direction. So congratulations on winning a 1 hour session with Eli, the man,
pretty big
professional relationship coach that's changing lives. I love it.
Yeah.
We look at that. We got a little Tracy's in there. She's popping the champagne.
Awesome.
All right, Tracy.
Awesome,
Good
Tracy.
stuff.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. And oh yeah, look, a bunch of more people there. Jessica, yay for John. Deb, so excited for John. We got congratulations from Heidi. I'm telling you, what a nice little Christmas gift from a Guy Think podcast to you, John.
That's right.
It's really cool.
Happy
Ellie, I want to thank you so much for reaching out to me. You know, I am so happy we connected. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you over the last few weeks, and now to finally have this podcast with you, and to I don't know, shed some light for some people and help some people out there that have been listening and watching, and for those who have participated. I'm just really happy that we had this dialogue and this conversation, and I hope it really transitions into a situation where you can help a lot more people. If that is anything that I could do for you to thank you, that is what I want, man.
Well,
so thank you.
I appreciate that, and I wanted to let you know, Joe, that I knew I was coming on your podcast, and I felt that in general, just like you, I love to help people, and I love to be able to see people get into, and not only get into, but keep a healthy love relationship. So my program, Find the Right One, I'm going to be offering at a discount rate for your listeners. So I think there's a link that you have, and you can go ahead and learn all about the program. You can message me on Facebook, friend me, and any questions that you might have, and you can go ahead and join and at that discount. And I look forward to working with you. And I really appreciate you, Joe, because it's very nice to meet authentic, nice people. So you definitely have that, and you're a good human being, and I appreciate the time that you've given me.
I'm a good human being, but when the Yankees lose, I'm not so good.
No. I can understand that from that perspective.
But Ellie, really, thank you very much for those kind words. I appreciate it. You are welcome back on my podcast anytime. We'll revisit this again, and hopefully help some more people. And anything I could do to help you out, my brother, I'm here for you, man.
Same here. And I would just make a pitch for you. Anyone out there that wants to learn more about life and topics that help people grow and learn how to get from point A to point B in a successful manner, definitely follow Joe's podcast, The Guy Thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ellie. So shout out to Ellie and New York City, baby. Thank you so much, brother.
Brooklyn in the house, y'all.
Take care, bro. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. So that wraps up this episode of A Guy Thing Podcast live experience. We switched it up this week. We do a lot of, I love the bare knuckle. We throw a lot of fists on this podcast, but it's always nice and refreshing to have some new thoughts and new ideas and new people on from different parts of the world, different parts of the country. So Ellie's a great guy. As you can see, I really wanted to have this episode so you could get to know who Ellie is as a person, understand who he is, and understand what he does for a living. So I'm really happy and excited for John that he won. And I'm happy that all of you got involved in the chat, asked questions, called in. Thank you, Jess, for calling in. It's really important that we all communicate one another, talk to one another, and come up with a positive way to find out who we are as individuals and how we portray that into the world, and may that reflect on others and make positive energy come back to us. So we try our best, right? We should always try to improve every day. None of us are perfect. We all fuck up. It happens, but I am so happy that you guys tuned in tonight. Do me a favor, guys. Before you go, I'm going to wrap it up real quick. But before you go, this really helps me grow the show. Follow me at A Guy Thing Podcast, all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. Hit me up. Also, check out the website. You could see the analytics there, guythinkpodcast.com. You can check out the sponsors, previous episodes, previous guests that we've had on. And do me a favor before you leave, smash the like button. Helps me grow the show, get more people to view it, reach a wider audience, and bang that share button as well. If you happen to have Apple Podcasts, do me a favor. This is a big one. Right now, I have a bunch of listeners on Apple, but if you can, please rate me 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. That really helps me grow the show and boost those analytics up. Analytics are crazy. I don't know if a lot of you know about analytics, but nobody really knows about analytics, but we think we do. So I think this will help me. So please do that. And don't forget to subscribe. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can send me a friend request on Facebook. There's also a Guy Thing Podcast fan page to get all the latest updates on the next episodes that'll be coming in the future. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Ellie, thank you again. Hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you next week. We have next week a very special acoustic band that will be coming on. and it's going to be really cool. So they're called Within Time. They're on iTunes. You can check them out. But until now and then, guys, have a great night. God bless you.